Good evening and welcome to the Jason Holmes show on Raconteurs News on this Tuesday night. It's the 21st of the 9th, 2021. And I've got a guest for you. In fact, I've got a guest for you next 2 weeks. I'll tell you about next week's guest a little bit later on, but we've got a great guest tonight. Anyway, just one or two things to just cover. I hope you've had a good weekend. I always keep having to tell you that. Have a good weekend. Make sure you spend your time well. Hope you did. Hope you've been able to enjoy the nice sunshine that we've been having. And that's enough for the small talk. There we go. Here is our guest for this evening. Good evening, Dave VonKleist. Your mic's muted still.
Okay, there we go. Howdy. Well, from way over here in northwest Montana.
Montana. Right. Is that what I got wrong then? Because I thought that I looked on your page to look for time zone, and I thought it was said I thought Minnesota.
No.
Okay.
Big buzzer, trap door, get the hook. No, I'm in northwest Montana, and it's a beautiful cloudless blue sky today.
And that's why I got the time zone wrong. Yeah, it's been nice here today, but we've been heavily hit with sort of chemtrails and that over the last couple of days. So it's they're starting that back up. They seem to have stopped it when nobody would fly in, but now it's just gone back up and up and up. Anyway, we'll make the most of the time that we've got with you. How are you, and how are things in your world?
Well, I'm doing just fine. Of course, I'm sort of sitting on the sidelines watching all the insanity going on all over the world. And then to cap things off, of course, everybody over here on in the States, especially on the East Coast, is watching very carefully what's going on in the Canary Islands with La Palma. So that volcano is something that we're all very concerned about. Nobody's really sure what's going to happen with that. Of course, you hope for the best, but plan for the worst. But in this case, trying to plan for the possibility of a tsunami is kind of hard to do, especially when they've said that, if the La Palma Island does split and if a big hunk of it falls into the Atlantic, they're talking about a piece of land about the size of Manhattan Island. And if that happens, then the resulting tsunami could be anywhere between 50 feet and 500 feet. We don't know. And they say it would travel like 600 miles per hour across the Atlantic Ocean and hit the entire eastern seaboard, Gulf of Mexico, Haiti, Puerto Rico, the northern coast of South America. It could be a catastrophe of biblical proportions, for lack of a better way to put it. So we're all.
But a lot of people have been sort of predicting that these biblical things are going to begin to happen. And I think they said that it's 50 years since it last erupted, which is not a long time in the grand scheme of things. So it's not that long ago since it's erupted. I had no idea that it was as bad as it was. I saw some footage, some news footage from there, and I was shocked by what was going on. So are we talking about the island could split into, and then like a big land big land mass enter the sea?
Yeah, I don't know if any of you have gone to Google Earth or Maps or something and taken a look at the topography of La Palma Island, but it's approximately 25 miles from north to south, and the southernmost part is almost like a point, and it comes up like this and then goes around this way. So it's 25 miles approximately this way, and at the widest point it's about 15 miles. So it's not a huge island, but when you look at the topography, oh my, I don't know who that is. When you look at the topography of it, the northernmost is all slopes, and you could see that it sort of looks like that the top part of it is part of a crater. The lower half looks like this lower half could just slide in.
Right.
And I would encourage people to go to Google Earth or Maps and take a look at it, and you'll be able to see very clearly the area that we're discussing. And it's probably a good, maybe a 10-mile piece that could slide into the ocean. So, but nobody really knows. I mean, maybe we're getting, worried about nothing. I mean, the island of Hawaii constantly has a lava flow. People fly in, the tourists fly in from all over the place to see, lava flows at Hawaii. So I don't know, maybe this is much ado about nothing. But on the other hand, as you pointed out, it's been 50 years. It was 1971 since they had their last eruption. And I will say that this past Saturday, before the eruption, there was a post online that they were monitoring the situation, and that there had been at least somewhere around 1,000 small earthquakes in the island per week. And that had become the norm, just little rumblings here and there, But then they said that that the seismographic activity had dropped down to less than 100 in a week. And that was a concern, because if there's a magma flow underneath, that would cause all the little seismic activity, the little rumblings. But if it gets blocked, then those rumblings would stop. Now, when that happened, again, this is on Saturday. I was watching the posts on this, and they said that areas of the island had actually risen about 5 inches. Now, that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you got an entire section of an island that decides to just go and go up, you couple that with the dropping of the amount of seismic events, that concerned them. And they said, what will concern us next is if we start seeing steam plumes popping out. And then right after that, lava. Well, that's exactly what happened on Saturday. It just sort of like popped here. And they all started coming up. And then of course that was followed by lava. So there are a lot of people all over the world that are watching this, because this could be a catastrophic event that is unprecedented in our recorded history. So could be something like Krakatoa. I hope and pray to God it's not. But we'll just have to wait and see. Pray, pray, pray.
Pray. Yeah. Someone's just. I'm going to say hello to chat room. Lion shares in there. Can you see the chat room? If you on your right hand side, there should be something that says comments.
Yeah. Okay, I'll click on that.
Click on that.
There they are. Okay.
Yeah. So Lion Share, Kevin Street, Chris Partridge, Wrong Malcolm. Good evening to you all. Kevin, to Tony as well, who's just a dot there on the landscape. It's and Donna and Matt Caddy as well. They're always in the chat. Always in the chat. Good evening and welcome to you all. I mean, somebody said it's going to be like The Day After Tomorrow. I've seen that film, and that we've seen this before, haven't we? Where people think there's going to be tsunamis, like Fukushima, for example. Mm-hmm. They did think there were going to be tsunamis after that, and that didn't happen. But we have had them before. We have had tsunamis before, 2004 Boxing Day, if I recall, in the Philippines, Southeast Asia. Yeah. It's what is there anything that could surprise us if the world ended? Would it surprise us with what's going on at the moment? And it's self-inflicted as well. Yeah. Well, there are a lot of people, myself included, who have been screaming from the rooftops for many years about the weather modification systems that we have in place. Right up at the top of the list is HARP. Okay, I'm sure we've all heard, or hopefully you've heard of the HARP project up in Alaska. And it's a system of weather modification and basically changing the steering patterns, the jet streams, the magnetic field. And that may very well come into play. And you couple that
with the, as you mentioned, the chemtrails. You know, there are a lot of people who scream climate change, climate change, climate change, but none of them ever mention HARP or chemtrails. Of course, those wouldn't have anything to do with changing the climate or the topography of our planet, would they? You know, so I mean, there's so many things that we don't factor in, that we don't know, we don't understand, simply because we haven't focused in on them. So
there's plenty of people though that buy into this, and we've got these climate change activists at the moment that are trying to block the M25. Now, the M25, if you don't know it, is it's a motorway that goes around London. It's a greater London area. So it's a motorway, and they're running into the road to try and get the police to stop. You know, because I just don't get these people. I mean, the mental illness that it takes to run into the middle of a road in front of a truck because you think that we're destroying the planet with a truck. I mean, how's the climate? Do you get lots of climate peak protests? I never see them over in America. Do you get like climate protests? You know, people that believe in climate change and want government to do something.
There are some, yeah, but unfortunately, and I'm ashamed to admit it, but Americans, it seems that they have lost sight of what their heritage is all about. I mean, men have got to rediscover their testicular fortitude, and women have got to rediscover their mama bear instinct and then act on them. You know, I mean, it's just, I don't know what it's going to take to get people out on the streets and break out the pitchforks and the torches and storm the castle. I've been screaming about that for a long time. You know, we like to say, oh, I'm proud to be an American where I get to think I'm free. You know, I mean, people are living in an illusion. They're living in a matrix. They keep thinking that you know, daddy's going to fix everything. But they forget that in this country, it's supposed to be of, by, and for the people. And it's supposed to be that way over there, too.
Yeah.
But when the people forget that they're the ones that hold the power, and they assume that the government is going to take care of them, that's you know, a big step in the wrong direction. You know, people have to exercise their own, you know, beliefs. They have to exercise, you know, demonstrate some courage. Get out there, demonstrate, you know, let them know. Because if we don't get it done, you know, in a peaceful process, in a peaceful way, as John Kennedy said, when you make peaceful change impossible, you make violent revolution inevitable.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this is exactly where the powers that be want to take us. They want people to get violent. They want people to be divided and fighting against each other. Here in the States, we've got liberals versus conservatives. You know, we got, you know, Black Lives Matter and people, you know, whites against blacks, against yellows, against Christians, against Jews, against divide. And people keep buying into it. And it's all part of, well, there was a document that came out in 1975 called the Counterintelligence Program, COINTELPRO. And it explains very clearly how the government infiltrates different type of political groups and creates division within the group. And if they can't do that, if they can't, you know, create the division in the group, they'll create an opposition. So the object here is to get people fighting against each other. And they're very, very good at it, especially when they control the media. And
yeah, over here we've got men versus women, because we've got, you know, there's many, you know, things that the arguments that men and women can have together. You know, there's not enough women on TV. There's not enough black women on TV. In fact, we had, believe this or not, we had a black actress playing, oh God, who did they play? Some historical character over, you know, that would have never have been black in a million years. Oh, right. I can't remember who it was. Somebody will tell me in the chat room. But they had a black actor. I mean, it's going crazy, isn't it? And there's trans that you've got to try and get your head around that.
I know.
And if you're not part of it, it's like you're either with us or you're against us, or
Yeah.
you're with the terrorists, or you're
Yeah.
with the bigots. You're either with the trans or you're with the bigots, or it's everything everywhere is all conflict.
Yeah. Well,
Race,
it's funny
conflict. Yeah,
because
go on.
25 years ago, when I started doing talk radio, I was on a little radio station in Connecticut. And one of the stories that I was covering is the additives in the food and in our environment. And specifically, I was talking about prions and bisphenol A. Now, those two additives, they're in foods, they're in plastics, they leach into your food, and they have been known to create hormonal imbalances, not just in humans, but in all the other animals. Whenever you expose them to a bisphenol A and prions, et cetera, it upsets the hormonal balance. Now, 25 years ago, I was saying, hey, wait a second. What's going to happen long term if we keep exposing a general population to these additives and these chemicals that are altering the hormones in your body? Now, of course, if you're male, you have testosterone. If you're female, you have estrogen. But what happens when all of a sudden that you end up with testosterone or, testosterone? What's going to happen in the long term? Well, now we find out. We found out 25 years ago, I asked the question, and now we look at the results. And we've got what in the state of California, they got over 60 genders. We got people who are identifying as possums. I mean, it's gone crazy. It's gone absolutely. And of course, if you point that out to somebody, you're a homophobe. You hate gays. That's exactly what's happened.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know how to fix that. But, I was screaming about this a quarter century ago, but what do they say? You're a conspiracy theorist. You're crazy. You're, tinfoil hat. I bet you're chasing Bigfoot and UFOs and Elvis, anything that they could do to type of discredit you or at least stop you from influencing people to start thinking on themselves, And
influencing people to not want to think for themselves because people don't want to be different, do they? I watched I've watched it. You will know about this experiment where they took 5 people and they said which one's the longest line, and it was obviously B, and everyone else put A, but the one person put B. Now the other 4 actors had been told to say A, even though it was shorter, obviously, and after a while, the person who started to conform to the rest of the group, just simply because they didn't want to stand out. Even I've seen one where it's a waiting room, and when a bell rings, everyone stands up and sits down.
Yeah.
The one.
Yeah.
And then they get somebody in who's not part of it, and then they're looking around, and then suddenly they're doing it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's Anne Boleyn. That's one of Henry VIII's wives. Apparently was black. And if you say she wasn't, then you're a racist. You're a racialist. But like we said, we've only got ourselves to blame. We were talking on phone earlier on, and as you pointed out, I said that 9/11 was a big part of this plan, that the way that we're living at the moment and what we're going through. But like you said, it goes miles and miles further back. I mean, it's been going on for, and we're the worst at it. The British, we're the worst for it. The British are just seem horrible to me. Our history, it's horrible. We've got a series of books called Horrid History that goes through all that.
Really?
So, do you think that with the children's books, and so they turn horrible things in history into sort of like cartoonish type things? That's what I'm assuming anyway. It's horrible history in the children's books. But 9/11, I mean, we're 20 years on, and what do you think that we've learned from it?
Well, unfortunately, not enough. I would think that by now enough people would come to realize who benefited from that entire thing. But unfortunately, the attention span of most people. I used to think it was just here in the States, but after years of watching, it's generally it's general knowledge that most people have an attention span of 2 to 3 weeks. After that, it's old news. They get used to it. They move on. And if that's the way it's going to be, then we'll never solve any of these problems. Like a perfect example. Right now, I bet you that very few people can remember how much we were concerned 2 years ago about Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Harvey Weinstein, Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, all the people who were traveling to Epstein Island on the Lolita Express, child sex trafficking, rape, satanic rituals. Now that's all stuff that is extremely important. Extremely important. I mean, if we could wipe the earth, cleanse the earth of these monsters, I promise you, all of the other problems that we have in the world would start to correct themselves. But nobody's talking about that now because we get one distraction after another from the media to keep you away from those particular topics. Well, let me ask you, Jason, when's the last time you've seen anything on the BBC about Ghislaine Maxwell?
Ghislaine Maxwell. I've not for a while, but we've got documentaries that are coming out here.
Yeah.
That are about her. That that I don't know how accurate they are because I don't know her life story. I don't know what her life is. But Prince Andrew, he's in the news at the moment because they're trying to serve papers on him.
For what?
For this lady who's made an allegation against him in America.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember her name. Somebody will tell me in chat room what her name is. But she's the famous picture. You've seen the picture with when Prince Andrew's with that young girl and there's Ghislaine Maxwell's behind him. It's that girl. He's dodging postman, so nobody can find him. Everyone's looking for him. It's a little bit like that lad over there in the States. I mean, that's gone out with his girlfriend, driving and having an adventure and stuff, and then come back with Arthur. And so, Virginia Roberts, that's her name. She's suing him but they're trying to do everything that they can. He's hiding from the postman, essentially. Someone's knocking on the door at wherever he works. Wherever he lives. I know where he works. He doesn't work. No, but he can't. He just can't. They just can't get him. He can't get out of it. And to make things worse, he's just become a granddad again. His daughter's just But interestingly enough, the news said called her Beatrice, his daughter. His name is Princess Beatrice. She's had a kid this weekend, I think. But they said they didn't call the Prince Andrew's daughter. They called her the Queen's granddaughter, which was very interesting to note. My wife that noted it. She said, "Whoa, it's So these lot, we haven't. We would have thought that we'd have come a lot further than we have with the JFK thing, because the JFK, everyone really forgot about after 9/11. No, not everyone forgot about, but it was a conspiracy theory was 9/11 rather than JFK, which it was before. I mean, we've not learned anything. What do you think is next movies? Do you think that it'll ever come out? That people will know? Will that ever happen? Oh,
It's up to the people. I mean, I think that what's going to happen is that they will be left no choice. I mean, what's going on right now in Australia, in Victoria and Melbourne and Sydney, what's going on in Canada right now, Vancouver and Calgary and Montreal and Toronto. People are getting pissed off. They're getting really, really pissed off. And the powers that be love it. They love it. They want to see people start getting, again, getting so pissed off that they go to the streets and they start breaking stuff and tearing things down. Okay, that plays right into their hands. Now, unfortunately, and I know I'll probably piss some people off, but I'm afraid that the only thing that the cabal understands, or the globalists understand, whatever name you want to put on them, the Illuminati or what have you, the only thing that they understand is brute force. That's it. You can get on the hamster wheel and you can try to vote these people in and vote these people out. And we all know that the voting systems are completely corrupted. We already know that. So that's not going to work. And you can't go to the Department of Justice because we know that the judges and magistrates are all corrupted. Can't go to the police because the police are basically working for whoever pays them.
Yeah.
All right. You can't go to your politicians because they're the ones who started this mess. So, and as far as the corporations, they're completely isolated because a corporation is a legal person, not a real person, but a legal person who's completely isolated themselves from any type of responsibility. So, unfortunately, you want to know when things are going to change? Is when people storm the gated communities and start dragging these monsters out. I'm sorry, but I wish there was a peaceful solution. Maybe there is. But I mean, the only way that the peaceful solution is going to happen is, like I said in the outset, is for guys, discover your testicular fortitude. You could say you're brave, you could say you're fear, etc., etc. But I mean, I'm watching these demonstrations going on in Australia where you've got 100 protesters for every one police officer. The police are standing in a line trying to block, passage. And over here, you've got hundreds of people. All they have to do is say, go, and they all storm. They just go right over the police line. Yeah, people on the front are going to get whacked with a baton, or they're going to get sprayed with pepper spray. But that's all you're going to get, because whoever's right behind you will take your place, and behind them will take their place. So I mean, the only way that this is going to get resolved is if the people take back your power. You can't ask for it.
No.
Once it's gone, it's gone. The only way you get it back is to take it back. And you have to take it back using the same methodology that it was taken from you. Coercion, brute force.
Which is true. Yeah. In the case of us here in Britain, we've been disarmed as well. So we're sitting ducks, really.
Yeah. Yeah, same thing in Australia. I felt so badly after the Port Arthur massacre. Was that like 25 years ago? I mean, it was a horrendous situation. But you have to ask the question, who benefits? Just like 9/11. Who benefits? Who came out smelling like a rose? Certainly not the people of New York. Certainly not the American people or the people of the world, because now we have security systems in place that are so draconian. I mean, they're giving people body cavity searches. I mean, it's conditioning, getting everybody used to the idea that there are checkpoints and screenings, and somebody with a rubber glove wants to put it someplace. That's acceptable. Oh, really? It wasn't acceptable 25 years ago, but it is now. And they've been boiling the frog.
And we've been saying this for 15, 20 years. We've been the boiling frog. I mean, I can remember right back in the day, somebody, I hearing somebody said, but boiling frog. I think it were Alex Jones, actually. right back in the day. Uh, who said the boiling frog? But yeah, I mean, we're in that situation, and we've like you said, I'm with you. There's no peaceful solution to this. The only solution is revolution.
I'm sorry to say that, because I grew up in the 60s, the whole peace and love generation, Come on, people, now smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another. All you need is love. Give peace a chance. That was my mantra, and it still is. And in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. And that's, the way I've tried to live my life. But unfortunately, those who are making the policies, who are making the big decisions, passing the laws, they don't subscribe to that philosophy. Not at all. And that's what we're up against.
Like you said, they want us to kick off.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned elections, I mean, it's really kicking off in France. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is it? It's Trudeau. He's the French Prime Minister, isn't he?
Yeah.
Is it Justin Trudeau?
Canada.
He's Canada. Sorry. Right. Okay. Somebody gets
Macron. Macron is France.
That's right. I think they've had elections in France and in Canada, but someone's just put in the chat that Trudeau's just got back in again. I mean, who? I mean, even in this country, the Conservatives, if you believe the polls, are still ahead in the polls after they've decimated the country, completely destroyed the economy, made Brexit look like a mistake, which it wasn't, but they've made that look like a mistake because now they can say, well, we haven't got enough people because we've sent them all back because they didn't fill in the forms. So we've now HGV drivers are now earning £100,000 a year, a truck driver. So, they're making it appear as though Brexit was a bad thing, and they're blaming it on Brexit. They'll blame it all on Brexit. They won't say it's all down to we haven't that we didn't allow people to go to work. There's no manufacturing. There's been, it's our fault. It's all the time. No matter what the problem is, it's blamed on us. It's blamed on us. And I'm unlike Prince Andrew. I do sweat, and I'm sweating, so I'm just going to take this jacket off. Yeah, it is. It's crazy, and it's kicking off all over the place here in Europe, Greece. It's kicking off in Switzerland.
Yeah.
Apparently, somebody put the Rothschilds' palace has been protested outside. Good evening, Paul Webster, as well.
It needs to be stormed. It needs to be stormed. I mean, again, I grew up in the peace and love generation, but that's not going to fix it because they won't give peace a chance. They just won't do it. That's not how they make their money. It's not how they control the population. And that's the main thing right now. That's why we've got this whole global push for a jab. This is not about keeping people healthy. I mean, my God, please, people, use your heads. If the governments of the world really cared about your health, they would have gone after Monsanto, Union Carbide. I mean, all of these chemical companies and pharmaceutical, they would have gone after them decades ago. They would not allow the pharmaceutical companies to have been indemnified from any prosecution from vaccine injuries. I mean, that's insane. So Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, all of these manufacturers of vaccines, they could put formaldehyde in there. They could put anything that they want and shoot it into you. And if you're dead, oh, too bad. Even if you can prove it, too bad. You can't sue us. You can't take us to court. We can kill you if we want. Too bad.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. Now, how stupid are we as people to not go after our government officials and say, you stop this crap right now. You stop it. But they say, oh, well, we have to vote on it. We have to elect people. We have to, we have to petition, we have to recall. We have to do that. No, the time for going through those procedures is done. This is, we're at the 11th hour in the 59th minute before the proverbial fecal matter hits the air circulator. And it's happening right now. I mean, on the global scale. And to couple that, to make things even more interesting, is that we're going through a shift, a change. They're talking about the shift, the great consciousness shift, the end of one age into another, the end of Pisces into Aquarius. And if we're looking at the birth of a new age, with birth comes labor pains. And that's where we're at right now, because the world is waking up to the point that the pursuit of power and materialism, it's the wrong way to go. It's not about, I mean, you come into this world naked and you leave naked. You don't get to take any of that crap with you. The only thing that you do get to take is the love of the people that you have earned it from. And that's where the real value is. And I think that a lot of people subconsciously, not consciously, but subconsciously are becoming aware of this. And that value system doesn't work in the system that's in place right now. And this is why I think everybody's seeing how screwed up this world is. And the powers that be, they know that the people are waking up. They know that they're going to face monstrous oppositions as their plans begin to unfold. This is one of the reasons why I've seen the Georgia Guidestones.
Yep.
It says maintain humanity at under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Okay, that means 500 million people get to live. Current population is 7.7 billion people on this planet. What are you going to do with 7.2 billion people? How are you going to get rid of them? Well, there's war, pestilence, disease, starvation. Yeah. Well, you see, when you have war, conventional war with guns and tanks and bombs, you can see there's a good guy and a bad guy. Okay. And the bad guy has to be destroyed, has to be vanquished, blah, blah, blah. But when you don't have a conventional war, we have what is called an unconventional war. And that's what we're dealing with right now. It's psychological and biological warfare. It's fully engaged right now. And most people just don't see it. And what's worse is most people won't see it. They choose not to, because the reality of the situation is so horrendous and so gargantuan that most people go, no, I don't want to go there. No, I don't believe you. You're a conspiracy theorist, and that's how they get away with it. Yep. Oh, hey there, Kevin, silent weapons for quiet wars. That's it. You nailed it right there. I see some of the chats going on here.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's why I told you to look so that you could, because I try to watch it, but it's difficult, when you're trying to concentrate on somebody talking and you're trying to read as well. It's difficult. I'll take it you've not been vaccinated then.
Jabbed. No.
Oh yeah. We get.
Yeah, you can't say can't say that word. I have to say something like Maxine, not the other one.
Yeah.
Or here in the United States, you can't say election. No, it's election broad.
All right. So do you get censored on that as well? I mean,
the censorship is insane right now. It's just crazy.
See, that's very interesting. Come on, let's just talk about your president. What's your thoughts on him?
Gosh. Huh. Do we have?
Yeah, I think it was when you mentioned formaldehyde.
Yeah. He looks like he's mummified. I don't even believe that that's the real Biden. I really don't. I've seen some other pictures of Joe Biden, like 20 years ago, and he actually has earlobes. Okay, he's got earlobes, but the Biden that's in there right now, it's attached to his face. There's no earlobe. Now, how does that happen? How does that happen?
I don't know. I could say over a passage of time, I mean, your skin does wrinkle, doesn't it? And it does sort of come down a little bit. I don't know. I'm just trying to sort of.
What about eye color? Joe Biden 20 years ago had very bright blue eyes. Now his eyes are like black. He looks like a freaking reptilian or something.
Like mine.
Yeah, there you go. You can't hide your buying eyes. I just made that up.
One of my favorite records as well. That is.
Oh gosh.
One of my favorite records.
Huh.
Not the Biden eyes one though. The lion eyes.
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. It's really bizarre the things that he sounds like me. You know, I stumble along and I'm here and I'm here and then I forget where I'm going because you know I've just drunk that much alcohol throughout my life.
Well, at least you know the thing, the thing.
Exactly. Chris Partridge says we need to rebuild the Berlin Wall so we can have a physical reminder of the tyranny, and so that we can throw all these Marxists back over it. Because it is getting like that, isn't it? It is getting like East Germany. I watched a documentary the other night on a motorcyclist who was from East Germany during the time in 1960. I think they built the Berlin Wall in 61 or 62, or maybe even 63. But they essentially built it for him they essentially built it, according to them, these people, to keep him in. And when he went away to what happened was when he went away to races in different countries previously, before they really tightened it up, he'd been able to take his wife and daughter. But now they made his wife and daughter, they refused their visas, so they ended up having to stay home. And you know, they were held to ransom essentially for him make sure that he came back. They managed to escape, and he defected, and it was quite an interesting look into East Germany, East Berlin at that time, and see everybody being stopped and, you know, having to get some out, show, you know, the papers, and people, guns everywhere. You know, do you trust coppers with guns? I mean, we don't have an armed police force over here, but they might as well be, because there's armed units going around everywhere. Right. And if there's any sniff of an armed incident, then they'll be there. So it's not as if they have to ring them up and they get up and go out. They're patrolling as it is. Mm-hmm. So I mean, do you trust the police over here? We've got no way to fight back, even, you know, at all.
Well, hopefully, you know, I think of a lesson that I learned. It was a fortune on the back of a Salada tea bag. Now, here in the States, we have Lipton tea, we have Salada tea, we have a bunch of different commercial grades of tea. And in the Salada tea bag, it usually has a little fortune on the back. And this one said, experience is the best teacher, because first she gives the test, then she gives the lesson. Okay? And I think that unfortunately, those countries who have allowed themselves to be disarmed over and over and over again, in every case through history, when genocide is planned, the firearms are gathered up and the opposition banned. And see, this is I'm watching what's going on in Australia right now. Do you think you'd see those type of events going on if the Aussies had not been disarmed 25 years ago?
No.
I don't think so. And I don't think, you know, this is one of the reasons why things aren't going crazy here in the States, because, you know, many of the conservatives here are armed, and the powers that be know it. Now, it depends on you know, where you are in the United States. Like, for instance, in Chicago, a lot of people don't trust the police. The police don't trust the people. You know, I mean, they're scared. I would hate to be a police officer working in a big city like Chicago or Atlanta or New York or Los Angeles, because they're scared to death. They don't know what they're going to get when they have to pull somebody over, and the people have become so emboldened they just do any damn thing that they want, So the police there are scared. Now, I'm up here in northwest Montana. Things are much more rural around here, and I think that the local police departments and sheriff departments are more in touch with the will of the people. And so I don't have a fear of the police in this area. Okay. However, depending upon where you go in the country, like if I were to go over to Seattle or Portland or something, I'd be scared to death, and not just of the police, but all the insane Antifa, BLM, liberal, normies, we call them. I mean, so it depends on where you are as to whether or not you have, a police department or sheriff department that represents a threat. So, there's not a definitive answer one way or the other.
Do you think that maybe the reason that they've pulled out of Afghanistan is because they need the manpower? Well, they figure they might need the manpower. They can feel something brewing, because I mean we're pretty sharpish, as they'd say in this country up here in Yorkshire, which means quick. 1 minute they're in there, and the next minute they've gone, and they've left all the shit behind. Helicopters and missiles and guns and ammunition. It's all been left here. So they seem to have made a swift exit. Do you think? I know with the Taliban, Denny will say in the chat that the Taliban will have sorted them out, got rid of them as soon as they got a sniff that they were back in. That they were going to go. But any thoughts on that? Do you think they think there's something brewing?
Well, again, I have to look at the historical record. 25 years ago, the George Bush Sr. And the Bin Laden family, they were in business together. As far as I know, they still have business dealings together. And Osama bin Laden had been trained by and was on the payroll of the CIA. As a matter of fact, I remember reading, I think it was in the Wall Street Journal, that Osama bin Laden had remained on the CIA payroll until April of 2001, just a few months before the attack. So if the CIA created and funded and trained the Taliban because the bin Laden family was good friends with the Bush family, it only serves, common sense tells me that the whole thing was promulgated, was planned. And as far as, the 9/11 attack is concerned, well, the report is that 11 out of the 19 hijackers were Saudi Arabians. So let's bomb Iraq. Oh no, Afghanistan. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Bomb Afghanistan. So what happened? The United States went in, they bombed Afghanistan, into submission. And by the way, let me remind you that the Taliban, up to that point, had been doing everything they can to eradicate the poppy fields.
Yep.
Oh my, they were trying to get rid of the heroin trade. They didn't want the dirty money. They didn't want the Western influence into their culture. So they were trying to destroy and get rid of the poppies. What happens? The United States bombs Afghanistan, puts in a provisional government, and glory, Oski, what do you know? The next year, they had the biggest crop of poppies ever, ever, ever. And we got troops that were guarding those fields. Now, what kind of sense does that make? All right, well, it makes sense if you're in it for the money, if you're in it for the drug trade, and if you're in it for money laundering. So now as far as, this pullout from Afghanistan, I think that it was going to have to happen. But remember, when you take away with this hand, you got to give with the other hand. So if there was going to be a shift in the, shall we say, the military conflict game that the military industrial complex plays, I mean, sometimes it's Vietnam, sometimes it's Central America, sometimes it's going to be Iran, and it's going to be Iraq, and it's going to be Libya. They have to have this military crap going on. So if they were going to stop dealing with the Taliban, and let's not forget, there's also Al Qaeda. You know, I mean, there's all these different groups that pop up, different boogeymen, if you will, and they all benefit the military-industrial complex. Now, what their plan was, if they were going to pull out of Afghanistan, what was their next move? I'm willing to bet it was going to be Iran, and I think it still is Iran. I think they're going to, you know, try to escalate this and turn this into a thing where Iran wants to bomb Israel and Israel wants to bomb this, you know, whatever.
I can only see one winner. I can only see one winner, and that would be, and that my money would be on Iran.
Mm.
I know the bomb. They won't. They'd never beat them down. I'm telling. I don't even think they dare. To be fair, I don't even think they dare. I think that is the very last. I mean, you've made a quite a comprehensive list. When you look at it, the amount of places, Syria, Yemen that have got involved in, Pakistan, we're just as well, we're your lapdogs, really, aren't we? They used to have a picture of Tony Blair, lapdog to George W. Bush. Yeah, but it's what were I talking about? Yeah, so many countries, and none of them. Like, why was, like you said, most of the hijackers are Saudi Arabian. What was wrong? Oh well, because look at Saudi Arabia. Look at all the oil that they've got in there, and the money, and the deals, and the stuff. It's when it comes to the very core of it, it is all about money, and money and power. And whoever's got money's got power. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. I mean, look at Trump. He became president. He had money. He was able to get some power. You know, and I enjoyed Trump presidency. I thought it was great. I honestly did. I thought he was great. It was much more entertaining than this bloke here, who's really needs to be. There's a guy who used to do, when people were talking, turn him into songs, and so that he could do that with Biden. That'd be awesome. But yeah, it's. I 9/11, Saudis, they go into Afghanistan, like you say. They didn't find Osama bin Laden, but they found a network in a cave, caves in a mountain, and they showed us a picture of it. You know, a drawn picture, a graphic, a cartoon, essentially.
Yeah.
And you think, hang on a minute, they're showing me a cartoon here. Then they disappear. You know, that disappears. Nobody mentions it again. Right. Nobody's mentioned that. Well, we found that, and we've gone in and we found out it's on bin Laden's bedroom. Yeah. You know, he'd left his thingy on, but then we chucked him in sea, obviously. You know, it's all lies, but the laughable lies. That's the problem, isn't it? That why people can't get it.
Yeah, they get away with it over and over and over again. And, you know, they can actually talk down to the general population, and the population just eats it up. You know, I remember when the 9/11 Commission report came out, they also released a 9/11 Commission report in graphic novel format. In other words, a comic book. The 9/11 Commission report, and it was a comic book. I wish I'd bought one and kept it. You know, it'd probably be worth a lot of money someday. But I mean, they have to talk down to the people, unfortunately, because most of the people have been dumbed down to the point where if you were to talk to them rationally and intelligently, many people wouldn't understand. They've lost their critical thinking skills and reason and logic. You know, so this is, again, we go back to the idea that most of Americans, and many people of the world, only have a 2 to 3 week attention span, and the powers that be know it. You know, so and they utilize it. They don't ever forget that they've got that advantage. Nobody gives a rat's ass anymore about Ghislaine Maxwell or Jeffrey Epstein, you know, or the Lolita Express or the Orgy Island. You know, oh, that's old news. So it perpetuates. It's not going to go away. as until people, grab onto an idea and hold onto it for dear life. Don't let it go. Don't let your values go. I mean, this is what we have to learn. And unfortunately, we may have to learn the hard way.
Yeah. And now I don't want to get all I do want to get all. I am going to, when somebody says I don't want to get something, they're going to get it, aren't they? You know what you mean. Oh, by the way, just I don't know if you're a Norm Macdonald fan, but I were absolutely gutted. Norm Macdonald, the comedian, absolutely gutted about him. I didn't even know he was sick. I mean, that's a punchline to one of his jokes, and nobody knew he was sick. His last show, anyway. All this. Do you think there's a connection? We've got this. A world of people that are very angry. Now, do you think that anger is somehow fueling, the earth? Because we're all connected. We all come from dirt and we go back to dirt. So we're all connected together. Do you think that perhaps this is why we're seeing some of the things that we're seeing? The earth is feeling our anger. We're feeding it, and then it's setting volcanoes off, and then saying, you fucking bastards, you filled everything with plastic and all these oceans and all these lovely animals that I've given you, and all you want to do is get a bottle of water. But we're forced, we're forced to, aren't we? By the corporations that do it. So do you think that there is some sort of, there could be some sort of connection?
Well, I do believe that we manifest. And here's an example. How many years now, or even decades, have we been hearing about zombies, zombie apocalypse, Mad Max scenario? All of these movies and television shows about the end of the world, the collapse of civilization, zombies, collapse of civilization, Mad Max, Star Wars, wars in space, video games. Oh, yes, Grand Theft Auto, all of these things. We're visualizing violence. We're visualizing zombies. We're visualizing wars. We're visualizing destruction. We're visualizing collapse of the infrastructure. How many decades of visualizing, how many generations being brought up in front of their TV, sucking down these movies and the TV and the video games, more violence, more destruction, we keep visualizing. How much of that visualization has to go before we realize that we're actually manifesting our world? I don't know. Am I crazy? Could be. I don't know. But I got a funny feeling that we are creating the world that we're living in right now. And until we change our attitudes, until we change our values and realize, like I said a while ago, you come into the world naked, you will go out naked. It's not about money and power. They say that, he who dies with the most stuff wins. If you believe that, then you missed the point. So this is why, I'm saying we have to change. We have to change here. We have to change here. That's the only way that the world is going to change. As long as we keep buying into the same old thing. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing, expecting different results. Well, we're doing the same damn thing over and over and over again. We have to change it here, and we have to change it here. So, and with that, oh my gosh, I just realized the time here. It is time for a change. There's no doubt about it. And if we don't make the change is going to come to us. Yeah.
Well, I only asked you for an hour, Dave. I mean, it's completely up to you if you stay or if you need to go. It's up to you.
Well, completely. I do have to start thinking about moving on because I have some other obligations I have to tend to.
No problem. I'm sure you do. Around this time of year, that's what I meant. Yeah. Okay. Well, big thanks, Dave. That's Dave VonKleist who's joined us. Anything? Have you got any websites or anything that you're up to at the moment? You want people to look at your music, for example? I mean, we do
Well,
probably have people in Montana.
all my music is out on YouTube. Just do a search on my name, and I have 3 albums of politically incorrect, in your face, you lying son of a bitch government music. A lot of those songs were written 25 years ago, and they're manifesting now. So yeah, and by the way, I know that there are people selling my music on eBay or wherever. Also selling my documentaries. I just wanted to be on the record that I don't see a penny. I have no idea who sells the stuff that's out there, and I really don't care. It's not about, because if I was in it for the money and the praise, then I'd be just as bad as the monsters out there, the perpetrators. Okay, so it's not about the money and it's not about the power. If people are in it for the ego and for the money, you're in it for the wrong reasons, folks. So yes, go enjoy the music on YouTube. I think they pretty much pulled the documentaries off. I know I've got 9/11 Ripple Effect is on Vimeo, but a lot of the stuff that was on YouTube is gone. Censorship. So yeah. But anyway, I do have to run here, Jason. I want to thank all you folks out there who are listening. I appreciate your kind comments. And yeah, hey Kevin, that's right. Cold dead hands. Unfortunately, over there in the UK, you can't go yeehaw. You got to go yeehaw. Click, click.
Yeah, it's cold dead arm. That's the one that we say over here. Cold dead arm. Yeah, that's the only way you're going to get that in me. Right, Dave. Thanks very much. I've interviewed you 3 times, and you've always been great value. I hope your health stays well, and I wish your friend who's recuperating all the best as well. So cheers, mate. Thanks very much.
He's been sitting on the side here, So all right. Well, thank you much, Jason, and thank you folks out there listening. And we'll do it again soon, I'm sure.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
All right. Cheers.
Right. Oh, there we go. Went straight away. There you go. That's Dave VonKleist. I only asked him for an hour. Last time we only did an hour. I think he only does hours. Yeah. But last minute sort of thing. Last week, weren't it? Yeah. I'm crackers. Yes, thumbs up, everybody. Give us a thumbs up. That's what I want. I'd love a thumbs up. I've got a guest for next week as well. I don't know whether you're gonna. I don't know how you're gonna react. But I've just organised it just today. And he was going to come on tonight if Dave can't come on. So I don't know how you're going to react. So if you want to have a few guesses, cheers, Jimmy. Thank you very much. If you want to have a few guesses, no, it's not Mark Steele. It's not. It's Prince Andrew. Yeah, try and get Prince Andrew on. We'll have Prince Andrew on. He's a good. No, it's not Sanders. No, it's not Neil. Although I'm looking to. It isn't. It's not Neil Sanders. But I'm going to get him on probably week after, if he will. Because he's been. Well, I'm going to have a chat with him anyway. See what he's going. It's not Boris Johnson. It's not Lee Garrett. If I see a correct answer in there, I'll let you know. I'll tell you before we go anyway. I've got to do that so that then you'll come back. But anyway, there you go. That was Dave VonKleist. And it was great value as usual. How's Aid? I don't know. I know the same amount as I knew last time. I'll get in touch with him and find out. It's just that I keep texting him saying, people are asking if you're all right, and he keeps just texting back, "I'm fine." So he's not going to say I'm shit, is it? But yeah. Vincent Byrne, no. Chris Whitty, no. Andrew Johnson, no. Mark Salon, no. John Wedger, no. Jesus, no. Leeds, no. I've not heard from Leeds either. The bearded chappie, Jimmy Savile, no. It's not Aid. No, it's not Aid. I know, and I know he's writing "I'm fine," and I know that's down to what he's been through, but still psychologically a little bit. Same answer every time. It was just you just think, well, am I pestering him and that? So anyway, I'll give him a ring at some point. We must. Andy Young, no. Max Egan, no. Although, here's an interesting thing. No, the guest hasn't been on before. Here's an interesting thing. I found my old whiteboard and I put it on my desk here. I put it on my desk here, behind here, so I can write things on it. But there was something written on it from when, God knows when, probably when I had two legs. No, not Richie Allen, not James Corbett, not Donald Trump. And it's got written on it. Yeah. Just found it. So this must be from when I had two legs, because I ain't used it since then, since I were in that other room. And there, look what it's got written on it. 19th, Dave VonKleist. I remember that. That were April. I remember it. No, not Mark Devlin. Mark Devlin's been on before. He's not been on before. No, not Max Egan. Not Max Egan. No, it's not Ian Crane. No. Give us a clue. He's not been on before. And something happened today that reminded me. And then afterwards, something reminded me of something in the past. And then when I was tagging Dave VonKleist in one of the posts, his name came up as like it comes and gives you like loads of different of your friends, and it tries to guess at which one it's going to be. So it popped up then, and I thought, well, that and the two linked, and I thought that is only 7 billion guesses to go. So that's the reason why I thought, I'll get in touch with him. And I thought I'll get in touch with him, see if he'll come on. Probably won't, but I'll get in touch with him. He got back to me. No, not Gareth Ike. Gareth Ike's been on before. Robert De Niro, Richard D. Hull, no. Fucking Mark Winders, no. Right, I've spoke of him before recently. I've spoke of him recently. That's not much of a clue. So we know it's a guy. Right, said Fred, no. David Jeramitri. No. Oh, but by the way, it's me. Is it me? No, you've been on before. No, not that guy from East 17. Not Brian Harvey. I don't know what's happened to him. Fuck me, I have been asleep since then. Look, since when? Oh, right. I told you a story, right? So I'm telling you, I told you a story, and that person was in that story. This person was in that story. You don't listen to me, do you? You just talk to each other in chat room. That's the problem. You fuckers, you just fucking talk to each other in chat room and don't listen to what I'm fucking saying. You're not even listening to this now. I'm having oh, dear me. Brian Gerrish, no. No, it's not Neil Sanders. You don't fucking listen to me. I'm telling you. David Beckham. No, it's not going to be him. It's the ghost of Norm MacDonald. Oh, fucking wish. I wish it fucking ghosted. Can I do a Norm MacDonald impression? The world's richest child had her birthday today. Daughter of billionaire Sheikh Maktoum bin Rashid Al Maktoum's daughter Tara had her birthday. Now, with being the richest girl in the world, here's a little glimpse into their lifestyle. At her party, she had 2 cakes. I fucking butchered that. Fucking butchered it, but... George Galloway, no. Darren Moore, no. We are paying attention, Potter. Okay. No, it's not Super Leads. I wish it were, though. If you do listen, mate, you know where I am. Last time you said you'd get in touch with me, so... Is it a news anchor on Al Jazeera? Anthony Hopkins. Simon, you don't listen. You just do not listen. You just do not listen. Initials, please. What's the person's I don't know what the person's profession is. Don't know. I can't get initials. You get it straight away. I must be excused. I've been absent for a bit. Okay, Alan. Yep, you can have that. I'll give you that one. Joey Deacon. No. Although, yeah, he'd be interested to interview. We like interviewing fucking... like interviewing Hawking. You know, how do you I get him to swear? I'd say cameras off and everything's off. We've got Stephen Hawking in here. Cameras off. We're not live. Press this what button? You must have a button that goes fuck, 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 fuck. Do what? Do what? Do what? Do what? And I'd be doing it. PewDiePie, Trump, Mark Passio, no. Jay Dyer. It ain't Cheggers. Tommy Robinson. No. I told you. I've told you. I've told you this story about 2 or 3 times. I've told it before, but I've told it 2 or 3 times. It's from back in the day. That's all I can tell you. If you've been paying attention, you know, you'd know this. This is basic Raconteurs Jason Holmes show, or whatever I fucking call it nowadays. I don't know. I had to call it the JH show today because I couldn't get it all lot in. The Jason Holmes show on Raconteurs News with Dave VonKleist. It won't fit on fucking title thing. Chris Waddle. Fuck's sake, you tell a lot of stuff. All right, I'll tell you. Who wants to know? If you give up, just, you know, it's not Andy, not Tony Gosling. Tell us the story again. I'll tell you end of story, right? I'll tell you end of story, then you'll get it. And then the next thing, I know he's on Sky News and he's turned a story from one thing to no plane theory. You don't know, do you? Still nobody's got it. It's British. It's British. I said, right, I've just given it you. And then David Shaler, yes. Well done, ResiTuber. I think we're first. Kevin Street just behind. I told you won't believe me. So if you've not heard that story, you want to listen to that story because I'm going to be, you know, asking about it. Jesus Christ, is Shayla. Yeah. You told the story last week. Yeah, there you go. I told you. Will he be wearing dress? I don't know. Lost interest, says Ron Malcolm. Oh, you mean Jesus. See, this is what I mean. I didn't know how you'd react. But I saw the Alexander Litvinenko thing, you know, the poison, and the other one, the fucking poisonings that said Russia did. Ooh, Russia's like poison, some cunts. Shelley's on next week, Webby. Come on if you want, mate. Come on if you want. Yeah. So very tense. There we go. That was lovely jubbly. This is my best impression, so I am going to do it. He's mates with Undos. You twat making me laugh. Sorry. I'm sorry. I don't mean to do it. I don't mean to make you laugh. I try not to. Yes. I hope you're all right. Anyway, if anyone's got out to say, and you name, mate. I was talking to you fucking other week on your show, and then you just went off on it. And talk about what Dave was discussing. I have personal experience with the subject. What subject? What subject? Yeah, Webby, come on. If you're up to it, mate. I'll have to. I won't keep you silent. That's all you do. Now, yeah. Listen, whoever wants to, if you want to come on. There we go. If you got something to say, and if you want to look up Uni's nose, oops, you can come on. Oh, fucking. Oh. Thanks, mascara. Get Dins on. What's up? He's here. your only black sister, aka also known as, aka known as, aka, AK known as, AK known as. That's what it stands for, doesn't it? AK known as. So we're going to start 15 minutes before guards come in and lock me up for the night. Oh, sorry. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's doing that. Well, it's doing it for me. I don't know if it's doing it for you.
Oh, yo, what's up, Jason?
No flesh suits, you know. There we go.
Can you hear me, Jason?
I can't hear you, but that's that works.
Because
It'll
I
work
know
in a minute.
All right, because I know recently
Work in a minute.
having
It took Dave about. It's this fucking StreamYard. It's awful. But keep talking, and I'll be able to hear you at some point.
all right.
If you're
Yeah.
talking.
I
Talking.
StreamYard is garbage, man. StreamYard is
Can
absolute
somebody?
trash.
We can hear you.
Yay!
Brilliant. This.
Yay.
You can hear him, but I can't hear him though.
StreamYard is garbage, guys.
Oh, right.
StreamYard is trash.
Well, there you go. I've got you now. I can hear you now. Text ages. Go on.
All right, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. StreamYard is trash. Freaking, we need to try that one service that Dinny, not Dinny, that Dean recommended us before. Free conference call.
Right. Okay.
Fucking way better than this garbage. I don't know. I don't know if everyone's having this issue, the one that you're having, or maybe it's just you, because we know that Google has the ability to do that sort of thing, to sabotage specific people, like if they're saying certain things.
Yeah. I'm just turning you down. You're a bit loud.
Oh, last time I was too quiet. Now I'm too loud. That StreamYard does not want to get me in the right voice.
So, what did you think? What did you make of what Dave got to say?
Okay, so I wasn't here for the whole broadcast. I'm for the whole time he was here. I only got here at around maybe 12. Actually, it's different time zone for you. I got here when he was started to talk about the Bin Laden family and connections to Bush, which.
Okay.
So I think I missed probably most of it, but from what he did talk about, he mentioned something like he mentioned big cities, and he did throw in Seattle as one of them. And I actually live very pretty much like not even an hour away from Seattle, so I actually have some personal experience with what he was talking about, the whole Black Lives Matter, Antifa, all that. And all I can say is that while I haven't actually personally stepped foot in Seattle myself, because I've wanted to, because I wanted to go up the Space Needle, but anytime I get the chance to, my family's like, don't go, we're not going in there. Too many crazy people breaking shit, and I've seen some of the stuff going on there. It's pretty fucked up, and it just shows that these big cities are really. Yeah, and if you look at the places near Seattle, like Tacoma or Fife or cities like that, they have so many homeless people around. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've been to Tacoma, and like underneath the bridge when you first enter from underneath the freeway, there's always tents there, like dozens and dozens of tents of homeless people. And like it's just everywhere. Like sometimes you can even see like fecal matter on the ground from people because they have nowhere to go.
Shit, you mean?
Yes, shit.
Yeah. Don't say fucking. Don't come here with your long words.
But yeah, it's really sad. It's really sad. Honestly, like from what I can tell, because I haven't obviously been there, but I think New Jersey and places like that are very similar as well. It's like you have these big cities and they're known for a lot of things, but you go near them, they're just full of people who just don't have anywhere to go, And
I can imagine. I mean, when we see America on TV, we only see good bits, unless they're doing a documentary on fucking fentanyl or whatever.
on what?
Well, fentanyl, it's a drug that I think is it's the people get addicted to it. It's a painkiller. But I've got patches, fentanyl patches, but I don't use them anymore because I don't want to use fentanyl. So yeah, unless it's a drug area, unless they're doing a documentary on it, then it's usually fucking hell.
Usually, like throwing stuff like
almost fits exactly in corner of your screen.
So they usually show stuff like, oh, New York with the cool skyline, and oh my god, all these cool like places where you got the big buildings and all that. Even though I seriously don't understand what the big appeal is to these big ass buildings. It's like, I don't know about you, but when I'm up that high, I don't feel very comfortable.
Yeah. Webby. Oh, I can't hear you. In fact, it's just like a.
Yeah, so it sounds. Echo.
How's that?
That's okay. We can hear you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm getting there, mate. I'm getting there. Things are starting to move a little bit for me. As in myself, it's I've been stuck with what's gone on, the attacks that have gone on with me. I've been stuck for a while, but I'm getting there, mate. I'm getting there.
Good man. Good man. So you're coming on next week then?
Yeah, I probably. Is it Tuesday? You say 8 o'clock?
Yep.
Yeah, I can make Tuesday. I should think.
Awesome.
How are you doing, pal?
Hey?
How are you doing?
To be honest,
As good as everybody else, then.
It's been a bit. Well, it's been a bit in house. A bit stressy, but my missus has had that murder in Sheffield. My missus knows my missus's friend is the aunt of one of the girls.
Oh.
So yesterday was a bit, it's stressful and that. I mean, not really. I know mum and dad. I don't know them very well, but I've met them. Yeah. So
it's very strange when something like that happens. It doesn't matter whether you've only said hello to them or anything. It's a bit of a shock.
Yeah, and it was also in the village where Adi lives.
The world's gone bonkers, mate. This is like, it seems to be becoming the norm. People doing these kind of things. Some of the attacks that I've seen, I've been watching. I've seen a lot of police interrogation stuff, and they build up to how these criminal masterminds they've killed one of the friends, but they've devised this script, and they're going to make a slasher pick, and the girl that they killed, they'd asked her to be in the film, so they filmed on the night of this murder. Did you see that? I stabbed her in a throat and blah blah. Now they're saying that this was after, but it wasn't. We were just doing a movie script, and we'd gone to the pictures and all this. Well, the police went, well, what did you watch? They couldn't come up with anything. And then they came up with their real plan, which was, yeah, well, we were robbing cars, that's why. So we went to the CCTV, no, you didn't, blah, blah, blah. And they just come out, well, we just killed her. We just did that. And you're thinking, is this real? Is this real life that this is happening, that 15, 16, 17-year-old kids can watch Halloween and then think that'll be a good thing and then do it? It's like all the morals and principles, they've gone. out of some of this generation. But then I see the opposite of those, where you've got 17, 18-year-old kids who are actually switched on to what's going on. You know, I mean, I don't know, did you see the Nicki Minaj stuff, Jason?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Right, Nicki Minaj was coming out saying stuff that we already knew, right? What have they done to her? Nothing. They don't come out and call a woman a nutter. They couldn't do that. That's not very, you know, that would be against the equalities or something like that. So she's got away with saying what she's saying. Now, is it because that's part of the plan? Is it because she's just nuts? We don't know that. But she's talking about stuff that everybody, when we started talking about it, it was a load of rubbish. Everybody were nuts. Now, because of the following that she's got, there's younger kids asking those same questions. Who knows what that could break? You could break through with anything, but it's a real messed up world at the minute, Jason.
It is. Got a question for Taylor from Jimmy Hagan in the chat. He said, would you ask what's up about the Gabby Petito murder? What the hell is going on there? What do you know about that, Taylor?
No, unfortunately, I do not.
Oh, well, okay.
Well, I know a bit.
Yeah, I know a bit as well.
It.
Yeah, go on, you Webby. You're better than me.
Well, no, I'm just saying that Peter Hyatt is looking into it. That's where I picked up on it from. You know who Peter Hyatt is, don't we?
Yeah, I know Peter Hyatt. He's a body language specialist, isn't he?
Well, he's a statement analyst, speech analyst. Yeah. So yeah. He was the one that got me onto it. But the things with this girl, they've been pulled over by the police, and she's like kind of acting strange and crying, and they're saying, why is the Jeep all over the road? And she's saying, well, I was hitting him, and it was I wasn't hitting him to try and crash the car or anything. And it's about an hour and odd long, this, with the police body cam footage. Now they split them up, and then all of a sudden a body's found. It's been there a while. He's gone missing, but his family wouldn't help. So that's another really mixed up thing. And now she's been found. His family, who didn't want to help, have said, well, she's in our prayers, but why aren't you looking for our son? Is it a murder suicide? Is it again, it's one of these things that this is starting to look the norm. You know, we're waiting to expect this. I don't know, you're around about my age, Jason, but when I was growing up, obviously living in a newsagent's, I saw a lot of headlines, and I can't remember very few days even. It feels like it was every day or every other day in the headlines, especially when the Yorkshire Ripper was doing what he was doing. It was murder, serial killers every day. Even in America, all I was reading was serial killers. You know, you go back to the late 60s, 70s, early 80s, we had serial killers going off everywhere. And it looks like now, instead of serial killers, it's just like your next door neighbour's just had enough of it and decided to kill somebody. I think that's what's seemingly becoming normal now. You're looking at there's a case in America, I think it's happened today or yesterday, where there's an argument in a supermarket over masks, and he's killed the store worker over masks. And the headline from the Guardian is COVID deniers. This is COVID deniers are getting aggressive, not some idiot arguing over the stupidity of a useless mask. No, the COVID deniers. So I got
COVID deniers.
Exactly. There was an old couple. I was on a walk, and I was sat on the misguided bus route that Andy Burnham gave us. I'm just sat there, and this old couple come walking past, and she noticed my shirt, and she thought it said Holocaust, and it doesn't. It says, in the days of Rona, I am a Holocaust survivor. And she thought it said Holocaust. And I said, no, it doesn't say that, love. Oh, right. But she insisted on telling me this story where that morning she'd been watching a program with a woman on it who was a Holocaust survivor. And you know what she said, Jason?
So,
She
Paul,
goes,
Holocaust survivor, just want to say that there's been an increasing number of those people claiming to be that. So I doubt anyone that claims to be at this point. Sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to. I'm sorry.
no, that's fine. Just cut me off in mid-flow. I've forgot what I was even saying.
Talking about the woman who was watching the Holocaust program. You had a
Right,
shirt.
yeah, got it. So she says, I was watching this, and this woman says, she's saying, it didn't start with army on the streets asking for papers, you know. I went, did it not? She said, no, it started with changing of language. I went, really? She says, yeah. She said, they just started to demonize people and make it normal. I says, yeah. I said, it's a bit like what's going on, isn't it? She says, well, what do you mean? I said, well, the things with, you know, all the masks and that, it's unvaccinated and vaccinated. She says, oh, I don't know if it's the same thing. I says, well, what about the midwives in Salford General who are being told that they can't talk about breastfeeding because it's chest feeding, and women don't go through pregnancies anymore, they have gestational periods. And she just stared at me and she went, that's really stupid. I went, I know, but that's what they're doing. They're changing language. Now, we are being asked for passports. They keep asking them not, and then asking them not, and then the government come out and say, we're not making it mandatory, but Weatherspoons or this or that company are going to insist. Well, that's up to them. They're private companies. So you can't go into where you want to go because the company's going to stop you. Why would that company do that? They're going to lose money. Well, they'll do that because they'll get tax kickbacks or they'll get something as long as they go along with this agenda, because a company like Weatherspoons, it's like, do you remember Demolition Man, Jason, when he comes out of the ice and everywhere you go to eat is Taco Bell, because they won everything. They won all the restaurant wars or whatever in that era. Well, that's all that this is. You're just going to, people get presented with something if people don't say no. And I think people are saying no in Australia after the marches I've seen today with the construction workers, where they said everybody's going to be mandatory vaccinated. All the construction workers have attacked the police today.
Yeah, I've seen that yeah, in Australia.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Rothschilds mansion in Switzerland. That is, there's people protesting out there. I wouldn't actually call it under attack, but there are people testing the fences out of the Rothschild mansion there.
By the time someone started attacking the Rothschild mansions, took them only 300 years.
I think we'll be attacking the wrong ones though by now. They set the foundations, Taylor, but you know, it's way beyond Rothschilds. They've set a system in place. What people have got to understand, I've always banged on about it. I think I've mentioned it once or twice, in a debt-based economy that controls everything. So the banking system controls everything. The justice system protects the banking system. The police protect everything else. And the politicians do as they're told. Now, if people can't break that down and think, well, that's going to be useless, me voting Labour because my dad did. If people can't understand that after now, and I still think, as me and Jason always say, I still think it's going to take them to come and knock on that person's door before they'll do out.
But we've got P90. Just before we move on, I'm going to say, Taylor, don't bring your fucking anti-Semitic shit on here, please.
Sorry, it's a bit of a habit of mine.
But P900 Coolpix has put, hi Jason, it would be great to see you interview the UK Undertaker John O'Looney. Now that's a suspicious name if ever there were one. Who's come out speaking the truth. Check out his interview on Revive Yourself channel. I'll put the link in the comments. I've actually seen it. I saw your I saw your you put it in comments on one of the other videos, and I saw it and I clicked on it, and I have seen it. But yeah, it's an interesting interview. It's just an unfortunate name.
It is. It is an unfortunate name. Everybody's jumping on that, but the fact is, the guy's come out, put a 15-year reputation on the line, and it's not like he's just saying himself. When he said, I think he said December 2019, the funeral parlours were warned something was coming, that they were going to be inundated. They were talking about pop-up funerals and all that kind of caper in December 2019. And he said, I think he says something like 45 of them, funeral directors, all joined groups and came together because they expected to have to help each other out. They expected to be inundated. And he actually states that he found that there was less, they had less funerals in 2020 than they did in 2019. And he said, when I was going, he said, out the people I was picking up in 2020, out of 10 people, 8 would be in hospital, 1 would be in a care home, and 1 would be in respite, where you go to die. So it's all people who are either dying, ill, or die, going somewhere to die. He said, now January 6th, we have the jabs start off, the jab rollout. He said, we started to get inundated, not with elderly, but with all kind of age groups from all different kinds of places. He said, asking the questions just makes it common sense. He says, and when you're in coroners places, he says, I've been in with pathologists doing coroner stuff, and he says, when they're being asked or told that this man's come in with his foot hanging off and he's lost loads of blood, well, as soon as they go in, they test them. So if it's a positive, it's a COVID. So we're still getting the cases. People are still not understanding that a 4.8 million population in New Zealand is locked down for 1 case from a false test, and they're still doing it.
Do you know, with funeral directors, I often wonder, the ones that like do the face, put makeup on the face and do their hair and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
While they're doing it, do you think they're going like, are you going on holiday this year? Have you got your holiday booked? And doing all that.
No, mate, because I have personal experience of this. When I used to be a floral dispatcher many years ago, and I used to deliver flowers to funeral homes. And a friend of mine, Jackie, who was a funeral director, had a full conversation with me once whilst virtually liposucking this dead body in front of me, and it was just, oh yeah, everything okay. Have you been away yet, Paul? No. Jackie, where do you want me to put these flowers? Oh, just put them to one side. Just come and sit here and have a chat. And I'm like, are you not busy? She says, yeah, but they don't mind. And that's the attitude, that's the humour of funeral directors. It's a dark humour like you find in police, NHS, fire, prison service. It's that kind of humour. But I said, what do you do when you do this? She says, all it is about making them look dignified. She said, they're not there anymore. She says, but the family want to just see, the vehicle that their loved one was in, and then they can make some peace with that. And I get it, but I also know people, even in my family, where they've gone to see a loved one and they've gone, that weren't her. They've done too much. She didn't have her hair like that. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. So I don't think you can win with it. But I can't imagine it being like being at the hairdressers. But I've no doubt there are some funeral directors that probably say, oh, are you going somewhere nice? I hope it's not too warm.
Yeah. You've got to have a dark sense of humour, for that. To do that anyway, aren't you? You've got to be that sort of person. I mean, it's not just bodies that are intact and all together that they have to deal with. They have to deal with, victims of road traffic accidents and murder victims and things like that, where it's going to be a horrendous thing to see. So unless there's something in place, like they just bring them in a bag and the remains in a bag, and then they just put it into a coffin. I don't know, but I don't know how it works. But you've got a question
my
for you,
dad.
Bebe. Can you read that?
Yes. The FDA haven't approved anything. I know people think that, like a month or so back, the FDA have approved these jabs. They've got enough. No, they're approving them for further trials. But when and it says that when you actually read it, but the headlines don't read that way, because mainstream media headlines, from papers to TV, they're aimed at a primary school consciousness. So it's this is what, bang 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 bang, gone onto another subject. Because primary school, you just go bang bang bang, oh yeah, bang bang bang, oh yeah, bang bang bang, oh yeah. So you've got all those short bursts. So now if you watch the news, you could have a conversation on, let's say, 10 different topics, and you'll just run the narrative of what everybody seems to know. So you can have those general chit chats. Oh, weather's bad, isn't it? Yeah, it's not too bad, but oh, it could be worse. I've had this, I've had my vaccine. And so it gives everybody something to chit chat about. Well, all that chit chat that's been going on for 50 years has put us in this position. And now something is starting to stir. So you are going to see the people that we've talked about, Jason, the white hats. We've got all the black hats who are doing all the bad stuff, but now we're going to see the white hats who are going to start getting a little bit more prominent, and it'll cause more debate, and then we'll see where that goes. At the end of the day, if this is going to roll out how they're saying, we're going to see a lot of deaths. We're going to see a lot more deaths, and they're going to blame it on variants, and that'll inevitably be the unvaccinated people's fault. Yet the vaccinated are the ones that are the high enders in hospitals right now. But it's nothing to do with the vaccine. Manchester Evening News, woman said, oh, I've had an allergic reaction to the vaccine, but I'll make sure my daughter has hers because it's only a one-off. So we have got these adverse reactions, and VAERS, the CDC have always gone off the VAERS website for people putting side effects on and everything, and they go off it. The FDA and CDC both go off that. Apart from this, it doesn't matter for this because it's only the general public just putting things on. So what do you do, Jace?
Yeah.
We've been in this game a long time, and how many people have you seen just, as in the general public, how many people have you just seen all come together and just go and make changes? None. It's always individuals and a few groups that get together, and then when those groups start to look like they're doing something, people will come in and dissect it, come and try and steer it, take it over, whichever way whichever way people want to look at it. But the factor is, we're not allowed to critically think, and if you can't ask questions, you're going to be shut down, and then we'll end up at a stage where if you can't speak your mind and have free speech, that means we're always going to tell lies to everybody or not talk at all. And I think Orwell's 1984 is a good example of where they pretty much want everybody.
Yeah, we just there's got to be. Yeah, we've been expecting a lot. We've been told to expect a lot of deaths. We were told nearly 2 years ago to expect a lot of deaths. 18, 19, 20, whatever months ago. That we were all told that we'd lose somebody close to us, that was too young, and what have you. But nobody's thinking, well, I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody that's died of COVID. I personally, I don't know anybody that's died of COVID, or
No.
or it's been claimed that they've died of COVID. And yet, when you're in hospital and things like that, you'll get, oh, I've seen them. I've seen them, and I'm thinking, you haven't seen no. You're a fucking porter pushing me around. You're not a fucking virologist. You don't know what's up with him. You're not a doctor. All you
Well,
know
the
is
way
you can take him from place A to place B. And yeah, you might have seen a lot of people, but you know, is it more than usual? I mean, it seemed to me when I were in a few weeks ago that it was more a case of the staff, they had staffing issues. They couldn't staff it because people who were either not being vaccinated or had got COVID or had tested positive.
well,
The tests are crap.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
double fucking jeopardy. If you're in NHS, if you test positive for COVID, then you've got to isolate. You know it's there's going to be loads if the tests are no good as well, and to give a
Well,
false positive.
you mentioned truck drivers earlier. Now, the truck drivers are getting paid more money, yeah, but I have family. One of my family members is a manager of B&M Bargain. Now, there's nothing on the shelves. The shelves are virtually empty. And I says, is that due to driver shortages and not going deliveries? She says, it's a mixture of both. She says, I've got all the stock. I've got loads of stock there, but I can't get it out on the shelves because there's been staff off with COVID. And I went, when you say off with COVID, they're ill. And she said positive tests. So the shelves are empty because of twofold. They can't get when they can't get the deliveries, they're not there. And then when the food and everything's there, they can't get it out on the shelves because they're short staffed. And you know, you start thinking about things like, I mean, I was listening to somebody on a debate earlier where actually it wasn't. It was, oh, what's his name? What's the Nigel Farage? Nigel Farage was talking about prices are going up and it's obviously going to be blamed on Brexit, and then he starts blaming the government. But what he's doing is he's mixing everything up and taking things away. The reason, for me, Jace, the reason we're seeing price increases now is when Matt Hancock got done doing his secretary, and we were all talking about it and laughing that morning, well, because it was all over the papers and everything. The Bank of England issued a statement that they'd increased austerity by 25%. So they had increased the cash supply by 25%. That increases prices because the currency is driven down. So the banking system through the lockdown has created this, but we're all going to start pointing to Brexit. And we'll all start arguing about who should be back in charge again. Starmer is now being linked with being too friendly with Boris Johnson. And did he do something to push both of their careers on by wanting the opposite to Brexit? And you're like, they're just playing a Punch and Judy show in front of us every single day. It's when we stop going to the show. But when do we stop doing that? I don't know, because I've never seen the extremities that they've done over this past year. What I've seen in Australia and New Zealand is unprecedented for what we'd think is Western civilized liberal culture. It's gone. It's totally gone. We are going under communism through corporations at the minute. People still think, oh, China this, China that. It's nothing to do with countries. This is all commerce. There's no they're against us because that's China and that's Russia, so they're together, but they're against us. No, they're all pissing the same pot until they get to the point where it's time to control. Where that control will come from, I don't know. We've still got a bit to build up yet.
Yeah, I suppose we best give Taylor a little bit of a say, because he's probably chomping at bit there. You know, it's his comfort blanket.
I just want to say to everyone in the chat, I do not agree with this whole situation as just as much as anybody, but I am sick and tired of trying to convince people for years of all these big events. You know, of COVID. You know, it's like you cannot convince people; they are not convincible. That is part of the agenda to create divide and conquer, get people against each other for whatever reason. And all it does is just get us all frustrated, and it all plays into part of the agenda. That's all it is. You can like a regular person like us cannot convince these fools to fucking to not get the job. So I just say at this point, fuck them. Let them take their double jabs. Let them take their booster shots. Whatever they want. It's not our problem at the end of the day.
Well, it is our problem because all my
caring. Stop doing it.
Like both of my parents have been double jobbed. My little brother is part of the National Guard. He helps to deliver the jobs to these agencies. And at this point, I just give up. It's like there's just no point. I'm just like, you know, you guys just do your own thing. I hate it. I hate it so much. But anytime you know, it's like you lose relationships over this kind of thing. You know.
Yeah.
Very much.
I'm getting a bit wary of you, Taylor. Fucking, you know, I think that's probably next fucking mass shooter in fucking America, and they'll fucking have names.
Nah, man. This actually brings me to what Dave was saying. I don't know if he was trying to imply this, but I just want to make it clear. Violent video games and movies do not create violent people. What they do is they desensitize people, but they don't create violent people. Not by themselves. Because I've been playing violent video games and stuff my whole life, and I've never harmed anybody. So I can testify.
You'll find peace when you stop trying to convince people. Don't bother. Just like if rather than having the attitude of fuck them, just have the attitude of, you know, well, let them get on with it.
Well, yeah, I don't go to them and say fuck them. I'm. It's just that in my mind, I'm like fuck them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I try to put on the exterior of like, okay, you know, it's like whatever. It's like it's your body, your choice, and all that. It's like all that.
Your pointless nonsense. You're gonna be your life will be consumed by pointless nonsense. If someone don't want to know, they don't want to know. Someone asks you something, or somebody might say, "You used to talk about this." That's happened to you, hasn't it, Webby?
Well, yeah.
Well, I'm sure that we all here have had family members who have taken the jabs and wear the masks and all that, right?
I don't care.
Most of my family are double jabbed.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
There's a lot of my family double jabbed, and they aren't well. They're not ill, but they're not well.
I feel for you, man. It's really sad. It's like it makes it even worse because you know there's nothing you can do about it because they don't want to listen.
I'll tell you what's going to make it worse. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, Jimmy's just put some in chat. I would disagree with what's up. I am reaching people every day and it's hard work, but I continue to red pill. It is working. I am surprised everybody by those who are awakening, jabbed or not. Listen, I don't interact with that many people. I see a nurse once a week and my wife, really, and that really is all I see, unless, you know, at the moment, I've got my leg on Monday. I'm going for my leg to be put back on. So hopefully I'll be up and about and getting out and that. All I'm saying is if it's making you like the way that Taylor he feels wound up in his way, if he don't feel wound up,
it's a feeling of hopelessness. You know, it's a feeling of helplessness, and knowing that all these people are around you, and you know this information, and you know you care about them, and they don't, you know, and they don't listen. There's nothing you can do. It makes it that much worse.
And you keep interrupting people as well, don't you?
Sorry about that.
Honestly, he's not angry. He's an angry young man, isn't he? Yeah,
he's very angry.
If it's making you like that, then the best thing to do is just to let people get on with what they want. I mean, it's they're not going to, if they're not going to do it when you're telling them, they're not going to do it at all, are they? Likelihood is, and then when they do, you've got to just drop seeds.
Oh yes, definitely. If people want to be helped, it's best. I'm more than willing to be there. If people want to listen, I will give them all the information I can, because I personally am not very confident when it comes to explaining these kind of things to people. I stumble on my words. I'm not very good at getting my thoughts out into proper sentences and all that. So I like to direct people to people who actually are very articulate, like you, Webby. I know how articulate you are and how good you are at explaining these kind of things. You've been doing it for years.
Well, I don't. Well, thank you for that. I still find it hard to take compliments like that, because this isn't. It's not about being clever or anything like that. I hate it when I've had people say to me, "You're really, really clever, Paul," and it's not about being clever. It's about going reading and then putting things together, how things look and how things sound. So if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, paddles like a duck, I'm going to go with that. That could be a duck. But when everybody else is telling me that it's a flamingo, or it's a golden eagle, or it's a rat, well, hang on a minute, there's a couple of questions here. And as soon as you ask those questions, you're attacked, called names, or it's illegal. There's something not right. And now we're finding they can't make things illegal just off the bat like that. So they find it to be offended. So people, I cannot offend somebody. Somebody must take offense at something I've said. Now, I have freedom of speech to say anything I want, apart from two things. That's to call for direct violence on a man or a woman, or shout fire in a packed auditorium, which could cause death. They're the only two things that I'm not allowed to have free speech over. That's it. So when I say something, somebody can be offended. But in law, you haven't got that right. Of course you can be offended, you have that right, but not in law. So when they get things like agreements for penalty notices going all the way from a Twitter argument to High Court because a woman has called a transgender woman an LGBTQ poster boy, that is an argument. He's took offence. It doesn't matter. And what did the judge say? You have every right to be offended, of course you have, but not in law. Next. Now, had that been won, that would have changed everything, because that would have been a court case that people could point to and stand on and say, well, I'm offended. Well, once you've got a load of people who are offended and you've got case law, that's when you get tyranny, because people will be taken off the streets, people will be taken out of the houses. The coronavirus bill, a copper can come in your house, detain adult or child for 2 weeks on suspicion of COVID-19. The symptoms are, there are no symptoms, and the tests are false. The police can act on that. Oh, we're not doing though. We're not doing. No, you passed the legislation, but you can. So you can act like that. And what are they doing in the test beds, Australia and New Zealand? That's what they're acting on. They're acting on that coronavirus bill. Our test bed is, you want to look to South Wales, the pioneering universal credit there, and they're going to pioneer the passports from October 1st for venues over 500, nightclubs, things like that. So they're pioneering it in this country. All right, you can call it Wales, it's not this country, but they're pioneering it here, and that's where it'll go. Once it takes off there, it'll spread. Scotland is the other test bed, and Scotland can't get anything right at the minute. But I don't know what it is about the Scots at the minute. Normally they'd be up in arms, but we've got such a placid generation of people. You know, nobody wants to offend anybody. Nobody wants to stand up for the rights. They just want to keep going with their head under the radar. Well, that's why we're in this. That's why we're at this point now.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just 2 hours.
Good man.
I will give you, if you want to say something, but keep it, short and sweet, Taylor.
Yeah.
Before we go.
Well, you can we can definitely agree that I'm no longer the guy that comes on and has nothing to say.
No, I can't shut you up. It's just that what comes out of your mouth, We had an interesting conversation when Webby were listening to your show.
Yeah, Webby, did you see that show, by the way? Me and Jason.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah, that's what the bits I heard. There was a lot of expletives, and it seemed to be a bit of a rant about Israel.
Yeah, to be honest, Israel has been on a lot on my mind because I recently watched a documentary about Israel and the Palestinians, and it really got me riled up.
Yeah, it was. There was only one other Israel rant that'll ever beat that, and I'm not sure who's got the copy of it.
I've got the copy of it.
I gotta see that, yo! I want to see that.
I've got a copy of it. That will, upon my death, will be published on YouTube. I promise you that I've got it in place. It's all set up.
That was one of those shows where you just muted the mic and just let him go.
Yeah, sorry about that. I promise I won't try. I promise I won't do that again.
I'm on about Jason.
Yeah. I listen. Yeah. Paul, who's usually in chat room, he were on that night. Unfortunately for him.
He must have been like, yeah. Everyone watching must have been like, "Yo, shut this motherfucker up! He just keeps talking."
No, they were too busy laughing, weren't they, mate?
So, listen, you better, once you hear that I'm dead, you've probably got 24 hours before my entire channel's deleted.
Yeah,
man, yeah.
that was an epic rant. That was an epic rant.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it. That's it for tonight. Thanks to everyone who's listened and anybody who's going to listen during the replay. I know there's a couple of people that were a little bit behind. A little bit behind. So it's good that people are having a listen. It's just this little show I do. And you're always welcome to come on and come in. So thanks, Webby. Well, I'll see you next week.
Yeah, man.
For me and you against David Shaler.
Interesting.
And then thank you to you, Taylor.
No problem, man. Always happy to come on. Like, I always appreciate when you let me on like this.
It's no problem, mate. It's no problem. Yeah, just you're a good lad, really. He's a good lad, isn't he?
He is.
He is. All right. Well, on that note, thanks to everyone who's been in chat room. It's been awesome. In there, I've been reading some of the stuff and making me laugh. So thanks to everyone in chat room and take it easy. And I'll see you on Friday night. About 9:30 probably. Well, it will be 9:30. Cheers.